Let me check it. I had like 6 weeks in a row. Hey, put the fan on behind you, remember? It's so cool. I know. It's surprising. Yes, it does. All right, Jonathan. Hi. Yeah, yeah, that's the Boston doctor. Three beds in the last week. I said, four. I don't think so. No. Yeah, so far so good. She played cards there with the girls there.
Hello, Marty.
She takes no time. I really didn't think it was weird. She did.
I was yakking away, so
She was saying that's what she wanted to do. Whether she really didn't, she didn't want to burden on us. But she
and you guys are smart.
I got some of my friends that they're watching the I don't want to go to I can't. Metro. The boss is here. All right, Chief. Yeah, I found a case of the shells that are in the fridge. You remember?
Mato, Uma, Naim, Sheverachim, Sheverachim, Gam Yachad, Hine, Mato, Uma, Naim, Sheverachim, Sheverachim, Gam Yachad, Hine, Mato, Uma, Naim, Sheverachim, Gam Yachad, Hine mato, Umanaim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hine mato, Umanaim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hine mato, Umanaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine matov Manaim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Almost Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn to the middle of page 124 of our prayer books, page 1 of the satellite Siddur for those joining us by live stream, and we'll read together. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, Cantor Harry. Glad to see you and hope you stay around for a while. That means if she does, that Leah's doing well. So I welcome you all to Shabbat services. I hope you had a great week as we come together as a family to celebrate this Shabbat. For those joining us by live stream, I hope you found the satellite Siddur so that you too can participate in this evening's service. I'd like to call up Linda to do the candle blessing, please.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Let's continue reading together. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue on page 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Let's continue together. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love, we offer thanks and blessing, O God.
We continue together on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On pages 144 and 2, we continue responsively. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah ve'almad yivarach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהלל ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו Amen. As you turn the page, we rise, if you can, responsively. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Let's turn to the top of page 149, page 3 of the Satellite Siddur. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Together, creator of a time of tide and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Let's now turn to the middle of page 150 of our prayer book, and we'll read together. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kehod Malchuto Leolam Ba'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let's turn to the top of page 157 in our prayer book, or page 5 of the Satellite Siddur. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught wherever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. Together, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya la 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 la. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדב הקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי היום לפני משה, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
We continue on in the middle of page 161, bottom of page 5 in the Satellite Siddur. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Together, watch over us as we go forth. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo, ve'al Yerushalayim shalom, ve'al Yerushalayim ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורץ סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. We turn to pages 162 and 6 and join in. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
As we turn to the tefillah, the core of our Shabbat service, I ask that you please rise, if you're able, and turn to page 164 in the prayer book, page 7 in the satellite Siddur. Either read silently through page 178 or say internally whatever you're feeling at this time. We will come back together once everybody is seated. Please turn to page 179 and follow along silently. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes, Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Ose Shalom b'meramam hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ose shalom b'imramam hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
As this Shabbat unfolds, set aside the work, worries, and demands of the week. Enter this sacred time with gratitude for the gift of rest and renewal. May this day remind us that our worth is not measured by what we accomplish, but by the divine image in which we are created. Help us to be present to this moment, to those we love, and to your presence in our lives. We give thanks for the blessings that surround us, seen and unseen, for life, for breath, for family and friends, for moments of joy, and even for the lessons hidden within struggle. May the peace of Shabbat guide our mind, quiet our mind, and soften our heart. Where there is tension, bring calm. Where there is fear, bring trust. Where there is weariness, bring restoration. Help us to notice the beauty of creation and to remember that the world is sustained not only by human effort, but by your wisdom and care. May this Sabbath be a source of healing for all who are ill, comfort for all those who mourn, strength for those who are burdened, and peace for all Israel and for all humanity. As we rest, may our soul be refreshed. As we reflect, may we grow in compassion, humility, and gratitude. As we welcome Shabbat, may we draw closer to you. Baruch atah Adonai, source of peace and blessing. May the peace of Shabbat fill our home, our heart, and the world. Please turn to the middle of page 379 of your prayer book, page 9, in the Satellite Siddur. We recite the Mishaber prayer to ask God to send healing, strength, and comfort to those who are ill or facing challenges. It is also a way for the community to come together in compassion, hope, and support for one another. This week, we've been asked to include in our list Leah Jacobson, Joan Thompson, Bert Posner, Larry Satcher, Beth Pavlo, George Cartman, Mel Finfer, Cal Gross, Aaron Alter, Arthur Doxer, June Streisand, and John Reichens. And family and friends of our congregation, Julie Fitzgerald, Jane Barron, Brandon Ben Sharon, Pete Carochi, Bernie and Barbara Friedrich, Nan Needleman, Tom Boucher, Scott Snyder, Martha Eldridge Stark, Joan Reike, Mel Friedberg, Paula McIver, Howard Rosenblum, Reverend Timothy Navin, Margaret Gallivan, Deborah Posner, Arlene Merstein, Ann D'Onofrio, Erwin Shapiro, Lynn Hollander, Harold Hollander, Barbara Kretschmer, Premier Pamela Michael, Elaine Driscoll, Patrick Reedy, Arlene Reinhardt, Leah Rivka Bava, Faiga, Zora Mendel. Anybody else have names? Beth? Lynn? Linda?
Connie Jedrick,
Heather?
Fred Levick, Estelle Block, and Ralph Pop.
Please join Cantor with the Mishabera prayer.
Mishabera Avotenu מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'd like to invite Jonathan to come up, Kiddush, and cut up a little bit of challah. About challah.
The seventh day is consecrated to the eternal God. On Shabbat, eternal sign of creation, we remember that we are created in the divine image. We therefore raise the cup in thanksgiving. Let us read together at the top of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tzion mitzrayim kivanu v'chata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uv'ratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Delish.
A Wednesday, I think. Jonathan, if you would carve up.
And we join in the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila v'nizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Urachim, urachim, belev sameh, urachim, belev sameh, urachim, belev sameh, urachim, belev sameh, urachim, urachim, belev sameh.
One more slice there, and I think we're done. I'll take mine. Thank you very much.
Would you like some, Frank?
Well, thank you. That's as much as you can do, though.
Thank you.
This week we start the final book of the Torah, Devarim. Can't have favorites, or I would say this was mine, but we don't have favorites. And this week, the Torah portion happens to have the same name as the book, Devarim, and it is going to be shared by us by none other than Jane Bergman.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yes. Shabbat Shalom. I am here again under the persuasiveness of Pastor Harry because public speaking is not what I love, but I was thinking this is only the third time that I've had to speak up on the bima. The first was my bat mitzvah. The second was when Ken or Harry asked me last time, and now this time. And so this week I was reading what this Torah portion is about, and it was funny. It sort of spoke to me in a personal level because I could hear my dad's voice in the background. This is about the opening portion of the book of Deuteronomy, and in this portion Moses begins his final series of speeches to the Israelites, looking back over the previous 40 years before they enter the promised land. So essentially he's saying to the Israelites, hey, let's look back on these 40 years. Let's not make the same mistakes before we enter the promised land. And I thought, how many speeches did I get from my dad about Jane Caroline? No, my mom would call me Jane Caroline. My dad would say, study. Don't leave things to the last minute. This was in high school. And then I would get to college and he would say, Jane, please just do. It was over. And I thought, wow, it was a sign that it like made me think of my dad in like a good way. And this is important because this was right before Moses' death. So this is nothing to do with something for him. He's trying to help the people of Israel, the Israelites, start this new chapter and let's not make, why did we wander 40 years? What mistakes did we make? And how can we repair them or not repeat them, most importantly, before we enter into our promised land? And I'm not political, but it's interesting is because this is in the time of Moses, and we're still going into our promised land. And so then when people say, we all know all the anti-Semitism unfortunately in our society right now, when they say free Palestine, you're on stolen land. Well, we're really not. Moses was leading us here a long time ago. And so that was, again, something that resonated with me. And I also, something about the Torah and just being Jewish, that even if these portions happened, they're talking about a long time ago, there's still a lot of modern day things that are happening that you can relate to. I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a cantor, and I can still, I don't know, kind of be a philosopher in a sense, and take it into like my life experiences, which is something I really enjoy about the Torah. I've never read the Bible. My mom has her group, and they do that, but it's interesting to me. So when he speaks about this address, and he's trying to, let's talk about, he's recounting, things that we didn't do, the best, and let's try to improve before we go in. This marks the transition from the generation that left Egypt to the generation that will enter the promised land. And this is a constant theme in life. It's not just Jewish life. If we never look at the good and the mistakes that we've made, how do we evolve? And Moses emphasizes, don't enter this promised land the same people you were when you were wandering for 40 years. Let's be better. Why were we wandering for 40 years? Like, what happened? Let's sort of gather, have a little powwow and do better once we, enter. And something I didn't know was the sin of spies. And I wasn't sure if these spies that kept us from entering, because they kept telling us, don't go here, don't do this, don't do that, were Jewish or not. And I am my father's daughter. I'm hoping they weren't Jewish, but I don't know if they were. So these spies were one of Israel's greatest failures, because they discouraged the people from entering the land, causing widespread fear and rebellion. And as that's a constant theme, is we can't let fear hold us back. I say this with my husband to our kids, fear is a part of life, but you can't let it hold you back, or else you never move forward. So that was something that we could take way back then, and it is a very modern theme for life now, for all of us. And something else that I thought was really interesting was that Moses explains how God instructed Israel not to attack Edom, Moab, or Ammon, because these lands have been given to their descendants. So we need to respect others' boundaries, which is a part of God's plan. Now, this is something that, bringing it to, current life and the Jewish tradition, is something that Israel does that's never really spoken about, unless you watch the media that is more pro-Jewish than not, or not anti-Semitic. Is Israel, when we've been, since October 7th, has been it's been tough, and they do not want to hurt innocent civilians. So there is, people, the Israeli government and the IDF try to get the civilians out of the way before they attack. So they actually give them the, hey, we are going to attack. Let's move the moms, the babies, all the innocents. And that's not something that a lot of other dictatorships and governments do. And I kind of like that. I was pretty proud of us, because we've been doing that for a really long time. So Israel, when they defeat the powerful kings east of Jordan, these victories prepare the people for conquering the promised land, and they demonstrate that success comes from trusting God rather than military strength. And this is where I slightly did a little more modern take. I am spiritual. I do believe in trusting in God, but I do think we need to make sure our military strength is up to snuff. So, because we have people that, you know, will attack us if we're not. So that was something that, you know, maybe my modern take would be different. And something else that was very powerful to me was Moses spoke about the importance in leadership in a group. One person should not be telling everybody what to do. It's much better and more successful if you have a group of people who have different opinions and they can come up with the best plan for the people, essentially a government. And it's funny because I even say that with my husband and I, when I think something, he thinks something else concerning our kids, and then we come together, we speak about it. I think I'm right, which I am most of the time. And but my husband always ends up having a point that once I'm done being right, I listen to, and at the end we come up with the best solution for our kids, because it's the two of us together making this decision. And that's so important in any government, because one person has one opinion, but there's so many different, you know, there's just different opinions and so I was pretty proud again of the Jews, because already we were doing democracy way back when, you know, and Moses wasn't saying, hey, this guy's going to be the leader. He was saying, you know, when we enter this promised land, you know, let's do it fairly for everybody. So my biggest takeaway from this is learn from your past. What happens in your past and the mistakes you've made, they don't define you, but we need to learn from them, because we all had friends and family members that keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And you think to yourself, I mean, like for me, I have a friend, she keeps dating the same loser over and over and over again. And I'm thinking, you know, let's try a different path, you know, and I mean, and that's, I'm saying that in jest, but just in general, like if we keep making the same mistakes, nothing changes for the better. So that was something, you know, that he was trying to explain before we entered our promised land. And the Jewish perspective that got to me was that for Jews, there's a responsibility in being Jewish, and that is something that I live with, and my husband and I really feel very strongly about. There's been times in our life where we've had tremendous trauma, and my husband's more spiritual than I am. I wasn't interested in God. I wasn't interested in Judaism. I was mad. And something about Judaism that I love is you're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to question God, and you can still be Jewish. And so my mom, being my mom, she said, that's fine. I'll just have all the holidays at my house, and you just come and have dinner. And that's what we did until I put Evan in the Chabad preschool, not for being a Chabad preschool, but because it was the best one in the area. And then he started coming home, you know, wanting to do this. He's made this craft and that. And then I realized that my 6-year-old needed to go to Hebrew school, because how is she going to always know she's Jewish? Like, I don't remember a time when I wasn't Jewish. And if you don't start that young, then the kids, you know, they need to, I've never not been Jewish. And then we started, and, you know, and as time went on, that feeling, you know, and now I'm at a point where, you know, I love being Jewish. And so it was something that it is a responsibility. We all know people that fought desperately for us to have the right to be Jewish, and we truly have the responsibility to be Jewish and to raise our children to be Jewish so that they can in turn do the same thing. So that was that was something that I really took to you know, it really got to me. And along with this responsibility, especially in the time and the climate that we are in, is to, I don't know, to hold ourselves, you know, with our heads held high. And there's a lot of, you know, anti-Jewish this and that. And I'm at the point after almost 3 years where I'm tired of defending. The way that we can live our best life is just to live our best life, to be successful, to raise kids that are happy, and just do our thing. And if you want to hate us, you go for it. I'm tired of fighting it and whatever. And just a quick example, my son and I were just in Argentina and for soccer, and we met some really lovely people who were not Jewish. And they all came from Colorado, and they came, and they're from a soccer club, and we all were experiencing the Argentinian culture. And this one uncle who was part of the chaperoning group is a great guy. We like Evan, and I liked Stephen, and we had talks and whatever. And I don't know about you, but there's often times where I just sort of throw in I'm Jewish so that there's no anti-Semitism said. Like, I just like to get it in there. You know, I'll say something like, oh, you know, Jewish moms, so that, you know, if you're going to say something, you won't. So it's not uncomfortable. And he was interested and asked a couple questions about the kosher laws. And he said, I'm thinking of eating kosher because it's healthier. And I was like, oh, no, it's not. Like, you could still be super unhealthy. But, you know, I thought, all right, that's fine. So then we were walking around Buenos Aires looking at all the different, the Capitol and all the different sites. And I heard him say, oh, look at that. I see a sign. Free Palestine, man. Yeah. And Evan heard it too. And I said to Evan, is that true? Did I hear that? He's like, yeah. And we're both like, sure. And then Evan said, Mom, it's all right. Just forget it. It's fine. And I said, you're right. And then when we went into the church, which was something Evan's not used to seeing, because the old churches are really decorated and done much differently than the synagogues. Stephen said to us after, oh, you guys went in? And I said, yes, you know, we did. We went in. I mean, you know, we're allowed. We just went. It was more like a museum for us. And then I said to Evan, listen, maybe at some point he's going to remember that he likes us. He likes you. He likes me. He thinks we're good people. And maybe that'll change his idea about Jews a little bit. And then I told my mom this story thinking she would say, oh, you're so enlightened, Jane Caroline. And my mom said, yeah, I would have told him to shove it. So that concludes my portion, and thank you, Henry Carey, for asking.
Thank you, Jane. Okay, I'll call our president up to give us his latest on whatever.
Follow that. I'm not sure how I'm going to follow that. Jane, that was great. And yes, I would have told him to go shove it. And on that note, Shabbat Shalom. I want to welcome everybody on the board of directors and a few announcements from our congregational life, and welcome everyone worshiping from afar. Also, people that are here to join us tonight afterwards in our Oneg Shabbat services, food and root beer floats. Tonight's Oneg is coordinated by Mitch Brom, Bob Jaz, Heather Greenfield, Marty and Barbara Holtz, and Mary Pinto. Our lovely flowers are donated by Jonathan and Heather Greenfield in honor of Cantor Harry's return, Leah's continued recovery, and also to all the volunteers for Cantor and Rabbi in their absence. And again, I want to say welcome back. It's great to have you. It's been a long 5 weeks, at least for us. Current details for everything going on in congregational life can be found on our website, monthly newsletter, The Messenger, and our semi-weekly email notifications we send out to membership. But I'd like to highlight a few things. But before I do, I also want to take a personal time to thank Jonathan for being on that side for 5 weeks straight and making a yeoman's effort of that. Thank you very much, Jonathan. As well as Frank, Mitch, and Linda, in my absence last week, for filling in on this side. The next board meeting will be held on Thursday, July 23rd. On July 31st, the rabbi will be making an appearance during the summer, as we're having some special guests from Israel come in. And we're having a special evening celebrating a pre-bar mitzvah with friends and family. I encourage all the congregants who are available and on island to come in for the services. Bobby's Bakery is looking for sponsors for the 2027 bake sale. It's $125 sponsorship. Please submit your check to the office if you're interested. The 2026-27 Women's Book Club flyer is now available around the building and on our website. The chess club, I can do this now because he's sitting here. The chess club meets every Thursday from 9:30 to 12. Contact Pavlo.
Tuesday.
And I blew it because you're sitting here Tuesday. Sorry about that. Rumor has it, New Year's Eve is going to be a special occasion around here. We are bringing the Bee Gees in on New Year's Eve for a concert. And we're also doing a combination with a Tavola, right? Tavola, see, I said it right. They're putting together a fixed menu for New Year's Eve, and you can either buy a package deal at a discount for both concert tickets and dinner, or individual, or one or the other. More details to come, and lots of disco dancing. The office is selling Memorial Yitzhak candles, and don't forget to bring in food for those in our community who are less fortunate. When you come in on Fridays or any day, there's baskets on this side as well as on this side door. Or leave a donation in the tzedakah box. And now, as I move to the conclusion of tonight's worship, I call up to the bima my wife Tony Ann and I to open up to page 586 for Elohim. Shabbat Shalom.
עלינו לשבח לאדון, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We continue on page 595. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we love. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. Each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. This evening, we recall memory of Sandy Footliff-Yanoff, whose family is celebrating this Shloshim. And our yard sites for this evening: Selena Bernstein, Edith Binder, Isadora Cohn, Ron Duran, Wally Fisher, Sylvia Horowitz, Etta Germanic, Harold Kendall, Rose Klein, Richard Rosenfeld, Eva Rose Spitz Rothman, Abraham Sykes, Pansy Salzman, Bella Shapiro, Harry Silver, Louis Yora, and Mark Yosman. Anybody else have Avilut or Yartzeit?
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chor beit Yisrael v'agala v'bizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh Yitadad v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei dekucha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imuru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imuru amen. Oseh shalom b'mormav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imuru amen.
May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen.
To conclude this evening's service, we turn to pages 625 and page 12 for Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Hashem Malach, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'et nasa v'chefzo kol, Azai melech shemo nikra, Ve'acharei kichlot hakol. Levado yimloch nora, V'hu haya, v'hu hove, v'hu yeh, בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל לו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמזרח והוא אלי וחי גלי וצורכם לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו, הפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ואירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי. Adonai li v'lo ira.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Keith? You crossed my little apron. So on the 31st, Lynn will be here, and so, and I don't know what the rabbi still has to do. So it's looked after.